Namaste and Shubh Holi to one and all. Welcome to our current affairs show with me, Pujita Krishna, to discuss and analyze some of the key happenings that have been in the news lately. I have with me Sanjay Dixit ji of the Jaipur Dialogues. He needs no introduction. He's a popular YouTube personality, a strong voice in the field of dharmic discourse, and I'm very happy to have him on our show again. Namaste, Sanjay ji, and belated Holi wishes.
Namaste, and Shubh Holi to everybody.
Namaste. So Sanjay ji, you have I keep watching your shows too, and I get a lot of insights from your shows because you are in a unique position of you are an IAS, and I'm sure you still have a lot of insider information that a lot of people like us who are outside of it don't know, from the ecosystem. So therefore, it's good to have your analysis on a lot of things that are happening right now. So without further ado, I want to jump right away to Manish Sisodia. And do you think he's going to sing like a canary, as they say, right? Is he going to let the dogs out, so to speak?
Frankly, we don't know.
Okay.
But then that's what these speculations are because, people, they put two and two together, then they look at the general character of Arvind Kejriwal, how he is known to stab everybody in the back, especially the closer a person is, the harder he gets stabbed. So that's been his character all through. So looking at that, it's not beyond the realms of possibility, but then
Mm.
it is also largely in the realm of speculation. So let it put it this way.
Right. Things seem to be getting worse and worse with him in Manish Sisodia's case, because now it's not just the CBI but it's also the ED, and they say the ED is far more their claws are far more difficult to get out of because they have far more powers than the CBI, I'm told. Um, and also then we also know that he was, there were these alleged allegations against him in the education. There was an education scam also. So my question is that will all this lead ultimately to Arvind Kejriwal at some point, because so much is already known about this man. Everybody speaks of how he was in the India against corruption and how he rode on the back of Anna Hazareji, and then made so many tall claims, said so many things about so many people in terms of on account of corruption, and his hands are terribly dirty. But how is it that he's not been indicted or he's not been called out, or why so much silence on this man?
Okay, I think there are two or three parts to this question. So the
Yes.
first one is how Arvind Kejriwal doesn't get any dirt sticking on him. And the second part is what exactly is going to be the position of Manish Sisodia. And the third part is, of course, the rise of Arvind Kejriwal since the
Correct.
time of India against corruption.
Correct.
So, as far as that part is concerned, the India against corruption part is concerned, I think it's there for everybody to see. And as I said right in the beginning, how he kept riding on others' shoulders, and after that, the same thing that you use the ladder, and after that you kick the ladder down so that nobody else can climb up. And also, the people who have climbed up with you, you shove them down as well, so that in the end you're the only one sitting on the throne at the top. So that's been his character. So if you look at those India against corruption, those photographs, and you see the people who were there, who were the prominent people, Manish Sisodia was one, but even more prominent than Arvind Kejriwal was Kiran
Kiran
Bedi,
Bedi,
if you
exactly.
remember.
Yeah.
And then there was Kumar Vishwas, who was a big draw for the crowd that used to gather there. And there were, of course, the ubiquitous Prashant Bhushan and Yogendra Yadav.
Yes, yes.
And there were a host of others. And all of them have disappeared. Manish Sisodia was the last of them. I don't say that he has disappeared, but definitely he is now incarcerated.
Incarcerated.
He is no longer out in the open. So that is one part. So that kind of buttresses our argument as to the character, the uh, deceptive, mendacious character of Arvind Kejriwal. And I think maybe he thinks that if he has to beat Rahul Gandhi to the position of the challenger, then he has to lie more and lie more convincingly than Rahul Gandhi does. Of course, Rahul Gandhi doesn't convince anyone. Uh, Kejriwal at least has the credit of having deceived two states, or rather one
He's won elections, exactly.
one union territory and one state. He's completely deceived them, and so he has these qualities. So he plays on the deception and dissimulation model.
Mm.
So that way he can be called quite successful, actually.
Yeah, that's exactly what surprises me. How is he success? How are people
Yeah,
voting?
yeah, we'll come to that. We'll come to that. Let me go to the part three.
Mhm.
Let me go to the part three about Manish Sisodia and the cases confronting Manish Sisodia. Actually, there are, right now, he is confronted with 4 cases. And 3 of them are with the CBI and one with the ED. And you're right when you say that ED has greater powers, because CBI works is very strictly within the ambits of the IPC and the CRPC. But then under PMLA, the Prevention of Money Laundering Act, which is supposed to be the exclusive domain of Enforcement Directorate, they have a lot greater powers. And not only they have their lot greater powers, those powers have also been validated recently by the Supreme Court.
Mhm.
So they are in a very happy situation of doing pretty much as they please.
Mm.
Well, it can be a double-edged sword for anybody who's using that. But then that's how it is at this point, and all advantage to the uh, ruling party, and as far as that is concerned. Now, you must also know that the Enforcement Directorate actually comes under the Finance Ministry. The CBI is supposedly independent, though it does come technically under the Department of Personnel and Training, and thereby directly under the PMO. But then the CBI director is appointed through a very, very transparent and a neutral process. So it is de jure, I'm not saying de facto, but de jure, it is considered to be neutral. Enforcement director is directly under the finance ministry. So they are on a different footing. And now there are 4 cases. The one is this excise scam, as on Manish Sisodia. The other one, which I think is a lesser one, is the school scam,
School, yes.
where certain constructions have been done in all the schools and they are under a cloud.
Mm.
Then the third one is this ED case, this Prevention of Money Laundering Act, PMLA. And that case, and that pertains to the transfer of unauthorized transfer of 100 crores to the South Cartel. And there is another one, and that is the feedback unit. That case has also been referred to the CBI. Now, that feedback unit was actually a unit that was created after the Aam Aadmi Party lost control of the ACB, because ACB police function, and that police function was invested exclusively with the central government and to the MHA and to the lieutenant governor. and they lost control on that after the Supreme Court judgments and all. So they created this feedback unit
Mhm.
under the vigilance setup, and this feedback unit has been found to be actually doing unauthorized espionage
Oh my God.
within Delhi. That's what the charges are, and that also with the CBI. And once that comes to fruition, then your initial question
Mm.
about Kejriwal,
Mm.
how Kejriwal manages to stay apart, I think that also might get addressed.
Okay.
And within this, you also asked how Kejriwal manages to stay aloof
Yes.
from all this is because he doesn't sign any files.
16 portfolios with this guy, Manish Sisodia, and he doesn't have
Manish,
any.
he doesn't keep any portfolio. He, officially, he doesn't sign anything.
Correct.
All he does is whatever he has to do, he does it in a cabinet meeting because he presides over the cabinet meeting. But technically, he can't really get away from many things because the transaction of business rules provide that any cabinet note that goes to the cabinet meeting has to be first vetted by the chief minister. It is only with the permission of the chief minister that a cabinet note can be put up to the cabinet. And of course, if any cabinet decision is taken, the chief minister is presiding over there. So it is only through that route that chief minister will ultimately come to grief. That is one.
Okay.
And the second is, of course, if somebody sings,
Right.
whether like a canary or like a cuckoo or whatever, then also Kejriwal can actually come into the
Correct.
net. Otherwise, he's fairly safe.
Mm.
Imagine the new lieutenant governor had to give him an instruction that any file that you send to governor, Mr. Kejriwal, you have to sign it personally.
Exactly.
And it's quite amazing because I spent 35 years in these services and I cannot think of any file going to the governor from the chief minister without his
Not a
signature.
signature.
And I have seen, except, certain cases where some people, Vasundhara Raje had devised this in Rajasthan,
Mhm.
where if you sent her a file for signatures for her approval according to the business rules, and it would come back saying the chief minister has seen the file. Now, whatever that means, chief minister has seen the file means nothing, and it was supposed to convey her approval.
Mm.
But then it was so vaguely worded that if anything went wrong,
She doesn't have.
then she is absolutely free. That she would say that what has been written.
Mm.
Firstly, it has been written by my secretary,
Secretary.
this the my private secretary or the CMO setup, the chief minister's office setup. So it doesn't bear my signature.
Mm.
So how do we know whether she has actually seen it or not? She can always turn around
I
and say
didn't.
that I haven't seen it, and whatever has been written, that responsibility falls on the guy who said this. So the chief minister's seen this. Then they also created another intra CMO notings. Okay, now this intra CMO notings are very interesting. Is that a file goes to the chief minister's office,
Mm.
then this procedure is followed in the finance department, at least in Rajasthan. I don't know about Delhi and the ministries because I haven't worked in Delhi ministry, so that I'm not very familiar. But over here, the finance department used to have this internal file system. So she developed this internal file system where the extracts would be taken,
Mm.
the file that has come to the chief minister's office. Then there would be internal notings, and on the basis of that, something would be said. And these internal notings would be destroyed later on.
Mhm.
So all this is done, and this has been perfected by Kejriwal
Mm.
to the extent that he even started sending files to the governor, lieutenant governor,
Without sign.
without his signature. चीफ मिनिस्टर जी ने, मुख्यमंत्री महोदय ने देख लिया है. That doesn't work with the lieutenant governor.
Correct, correct.
It may work with a minister, or it may work with a lower down official, a secretary who has been told informally that if it comes to you कि मुख्यमंत्री महोदय ने देख लिया है, that means it bears his approval.
Hmm.
And then the Mukhyamantri can very conveniently shift the blame on the person in question if there is any trouble.
Correct.
This is now being done by quite a few chief ministers, I'm told. But there are very few who still put their signatures on the file. That's very unfortunate, because that is actually shirking responsibility.
Right, right.
That I haven't seen that. I saw that for the first time with Vasundhara Raje. I believe the present chief minister has again reversed that trend.
Mm.
But then it's very disturbing, and I think it actually the
Isn't there any
central
way?
government should make it absolutely clear, bring in a law
Mm.
under the articles that govern the government business, to make it absolutely clear that the whatever is being approved by the chief minister, his signatures must be there. So this is the artifice that Kejriwal uses.
Mm. Which explains why he's scot-free and all his minions are in jail.
Now minions have to sing
Correct.
in order that Kejriwal lands
Yeah.
in jail.
But apparently he posted something on Twitter with the outside the home residence of Manish Sisodia, saying that I'll take care of your family. So people are trying to interpret it in many different ways. I mean, God knows what that means. But I really hope for the safety of the family. Sanjay ji, moving on to Punjab, again, a very, very worrying situation, and in the news for a while now. And while there are people who say that, oh, no, 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 majority of the Sikhs don't want Khalistan, or that is just a few outliers or a few, bad elements, etc. It seems to be a pretty bad, especially what happened in Ajnala. And recently, well, I mean, nothing to do with this, I'm hoping, but there was a young kid from Canada who died in that recent celebration. So I don't know if they're connected in any way, but he was killed, right, yesterday in that holy Hola Mohalla, something like that.
Yeah, basically holy
Holy,
celebrations.
yes. But coming to Amritpal in particular, this mysterious figure who suddenly seems to have been airdropped into this in the middle of this entire scenario, and seems like he's like now the poster boy for Khalistan in India. What can you tell us about the situation, Sanjay ji?
Well, I know as much as everybody else does that this guy was working in Dubai as a transporter, and then suddenly somebody saw a vacancy
Mm.
when Deep Sidhu died,
Yes.
and kind of transported the transporter into that vacant space without any kind of approval from the original members or even the family members. And he has kind of hijacked that organization.
Mm.
And there has been, I would say, that incompetence all around.
Mm.
You see, as far as this Khalistan business is concerned, it is a separatist idea. And this separatist idea has been around for over 100 years. And SGPC is the vehicle for this idea of separatism, a separate Sikh identity, that Sikhs are not Hindus. All these ideas are basically chaperoned and promoted by the SGPC, because SGPC itself is a byproduct of British intervention into Sikhi. I think we have talked about it a number of times, how a guy called MacAuliffe was inserted into Sikhism and became what I call the 12th Guru. Now we have the 10 gurus,
10 gurus.
and we have the Guru Granth Sahib.
Yes.
And suddenly this 12th guru appears, and SGPC is the torchbearer of that 12th guru, and that is why I call it completely illegitimate.
Mm.
Unfortunately, the Indian polity hasn't had the courage to look SGPC square in the face and tell them that you're illegitimate. And because they're not able to tell that, then these illegitimates have been cornering the institutions, especially in Punjab, and they have been cornering the narrative. BJP was also very happy to go along with them, to the extent that they actually did an amendment in the SGPC Act in 2016, something that the Manmohan Singh government did not allow. The pressure on them was there right since Manmohan Singh became Prime Minister, but they did not allow that. And they again, to pander to SGPC and to consolidate their hold on the Gurdwaras in Punjab, they allowed that amendment in the SGPC Act, and they took out the Sahajdharis,
Mm.
that is non-Keshdharis, from the collegium.
Oh.
So, of course, we know the links of Aam Aadmi Party with Khalistan. They have been their funders, so this is payback time. So theirs can be understood, but I am totally unable to understand the lack of civilizational knowledge of the BJP RSS.
Correct.
And even as the law and order is concerned, even there, we heard the chief of the BJP talking that, okay, if the state government asks us, then we will go in, or something like that. But that's not the scheme of the Constitution. The Constitution clearly stipulates in Article 355, it says that it is the duty of the central government to protect a state against armed external aggression and internal disturbance, both. So when are they going to come to a conclusion that this is an internal disturbance? The way the law and order has collapsed, Punjab is staring at a situation where internally, actually, they are internally disturbed. The AFSPA has been promulgated in many parts of India for much less.
Correct.
And here is your key border state,
Mm.
which has been completely subverted through drugs, through weapons, through
Christianization.
separatist music.
Yes. Oh, yeah, 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 yeah.
That separatist music is quite rife in Punjab.
Mm.
And if you look at this Sidhu Moosewala
Flexible.
murder and all that, Sidhu Moosewala is quite in the forefront of those
Correct, correct, correct.
rousing pro-Khalistani kind of music.
Music. Mm.
So all this has been going on. The narrative is being built. Ultimately, I agree completely with the people who say that most of these Sikhs do not favor Khalistan, is because they have seen the mayhem that happened. Majority of the people who were killed during those Khalistan turbulent years were the Sikhs. In fact, they would be the first one even today. Those who disagree with this narrative would be the target, they would be the first target even today.
Mm.
But then the center says that no, it's a law and order problem. It's not law and order
It's not
problem.
Lord.
It's
Yes.
an existential problem, and it has to be tackled not just at the problem point of law and order. It has to be tackled at the level of narrative. But as far as narrative is concerned, I think the record of this
Government.
present BJP government everywhere, whether abroad or within India or X place or Y place, has been quite pathetic. So I don't have much hope from them, because internally they are not capable of taking on this narrative building, narrative countering exercises, and they won't even help the independent people who actually do a fine job of it. So both ways, it's lose lose. It's not a win-win situation.
That's
It's a
very,
lose-lose
that's very
situation.
tragic because, like you pointed out, Punjab is a, I mean, it's a key. It's very important. I mean, that is most. I think you lose Punjab, you make India vulnerable, right? So it's like, which is why probably it's been at the forefront of so many attacks. It's always been at the receiving end. And I think for particularly worrying is also, I think, the quick, and rapid Christianization of that entire region. So I feel maybe. Do you think all
Yes,
these
it's
factors?
again due to SGPC. It's again the SGPC is doing, because SGPC is basically uh, it's no longer an inclusive organization which represents all Sikhs, and very deeply discriminatory caste practices abound. SGPC has been hijacked by one community, the Jats,
Jats? Okay,
and they make fun of everybody. And if a particular section uh, goes over to Christianity, they are happy.
they're okay with that.
They are perfectly happy.
Oh boy. Hmm.
They're perfectly happy that okay, now the Jats get to control even more. So
Hmm.
they throw out Sahajdaris, they call Nirankari as heretics, they call Namdari as heretics, everybody, except at the time of election when everybody becomes Sikhs. At the time of election, they
Everyone
will
is.
count Sikhs as okay, 56% or 6 or 57% of
Hmm.
Punjab is Sikh. But as soon as the elections are over, out of that 57, they, about 30% they take out and say that okay, now only 25% Jats are the only Sikhs.
Hmm.
Oh, the government has to,
Yes,
the
rain
central
it.
government, this is job of the central government to tackle this narrative head on.
Hmm.
After all, somebody like Puneet Sani sitting in New York alone can rattle them so much. And if the government decides to do it, then they
Correct.
can nip this whole business in the bud.
I think many a time.
They, the normal Sikh farmer, especially in the rural areas, who is the main target of all these subversive activities, is a very good person.
Hmm.
But then, if you keep bombarding him day in and day out, then where is this going to lead to? Look at Pakistan, what has happened there? Or look at the Kashmir Valley. What you see there is the result of a sustained indoctrination of 50, 60, 70 years.
Correct.
So you have to intervene. You can't just sit that and say, कि,
Internal
जब
problem.
स्टेट गवर्नमेंट बोलेगी तब हम सहायता करेंगे.
Correct. Correct.
That's ridiculous.
Ridiculous. And then it's not helping that you have people like coming to segueing into Rahul Gandhi recently in his much touted address in Cambridge. Every time he just rushes off to a foreign university. Last time, I think last elections it was in Harvard. He sat, or was it Berkeley? I don't remember where he sat, and he, spewed absolute nonsense. And now it's Cambridge, where apparently he pointed to a random Sikh gentleman in the audience and he says, you are treated like a second, Modi treats you like a second class citizen in the country. He actually said that. So, coming to Rahul Gandhi, especially, uh, this man, he is no longer just a papu. That's my personal opinion. I think we tend to underestimate his. I mean, he's definitely stupid, uh, but stupidity of a dangerous
I,
kind.
I, I like the sound of certainty in your assertion.
Because I mean, one can't draw any other conclusion from watching all his, pearls of wisdom that have come out from his mouth over the years. It's just he is stupid. There's no doubt about it. But he's also dangerous. This, I think, people probably don't realize because they're so, in such a rush to dismiss him, which is very obvious in what he's doing in Cambridge right now. So, Sanjay ji, what are your thoughts on this man?
I think more than dangerous, he's desperate. I think for some reason he thinks that 2027 24 is make or break for him, because in any case he is losing his relevance very rapidly. I think we saw that desperation even with George Soros,
Hmm.
and they keep becoming desperate because month after month, every 6 months, most reliable approval ratings, they still show Narendra Modi some 60, 65 basis points ahead of Rahul Gandhi. So they know that this guy has no chance.
Hmm.
And probably he himself believes so, because these are ratings coming from abroad. So
Hmm.
because he loves everything that comes from abroad, so that must be worrying him really quite a lot. So what do they do? Look at their methods. You say he's dangerous. Now look at let's look at what he has done in the UK.
Hmm.
Where does he go in the Cambridge?
It
In
looked like a
Cambridge, he
student
goes
going.
to a sideline business school called JBS.
Acha.
Okay, what is JBS? Judge Business School or something, something. The Cambridge people who do not get their admission into their mainstream courses, Cambridge mainstream courses in economics, humanities, sciences. They are the renowned courses. That's what Cambridge is known for. Even literature. Nobody knows Cambridge for this JBS. What is this JBS? So he goes to this JBS and spouts some nonsense. The pro VC is a Pakistani who introduces him,
Hmm.
and he has absolutely no compunction in getting introduced by such a person. He's not really worried that people would probably uh, find some connection of that guy Kamal Munir with the ISI.
Hmm.
So when you have a person who is not worried about these signals that go across, I would call him a fool actually.
Hmm.
Why I call him a fool? Because politics is all about signals.
Signals, correct.
The kind of signals that you send are very, very important. And what are the kind of signals that you're sending when you go and sit with such people? Then he goes to the some committee room in the British Parliament House. Then again says something about Parliament, I am not allowed to speak. Now, who is he addressing? Is he addressing a foreign audience? Okay, let's say that. Okay, he's addressing the uh, funders of Congress, or the left liberal gang, who would probably try and create some kind of narrative war. And you know very well that this narrative war that is being unleashed from the West, it doesn't affect anybody. How many people read New York Times or Washington Times in India? In fact, how many people read the English press? How many people watch the English news channels? You can pick up any bark rating sample and see that the consumption of English news in the overall scenario of the country is about 1 oblique 500. Within the Hindi landscape, it is about 1 oblique 200. So that being the case, in fact, it doesn't even stir the surface as far as the public in India is concerned, except that they get alarmed that here is a guy who is going abroad and bad mouthing people and telling Britain and US to intervene.
Correct.
Now,
The gall.
Mrs. Indira Gandhi's favorite election pitch always used to be the foreign hand.
Foreign hand, correct.
That's because she understood the pulse of the Indian people. They hate nothing more
Then have
than foreign hand.
foreign hand.
And here is a guy, an aspiring leader in his own right. First of all, right now is aspiring to be the unanimous leader of the opposition. In fact, I have this theory that he is doing all this basically to tell the other opposition leaders, say, look, I am accepted in the West. You all are also getting help from the West. So therefore, because the West recognizes me, so you all recognize me as the challenger to Modi.
Oh, acha.
That is my theory. That
Hmm.
is my theory. Because of course it doesn't, because all this doesn't affect the Indian public one bit.
Hmm.
Nobody's bothered, except that minuscule 0.0000001% left liberal class,
Correct,
and
correct.
most of them don't go to vote anyway. So,
True.
so he's not impressing them.
Hmm.
He is trying to impress the opposition leaders. He is trying to tell KCR, look, KCR, look,
Take me
Stalin,
seriously.
look, Mamata Banerjee, all you people, you are beholden to the West for the support, the narrative support that you get. So, because they are supporting me, you accept me as the undisputed challenger to Modi. That's my theory purely. Okay.
Okay.
Completely subject to rebuttal.
Well, I mean, I guess.
But I think if you look at a few more things that he does, goes to Chatham House,
Check.
calls RSS fascist,
Hmm.
and plants somebody, that Malini Mehra, who's planted there.
Hmm. Oh, yes. Hmm.
Actually, he says that my father was an RSS man. And then I dug out an article yesterday from The Guardian, and that was 11th May 2003, where it says that this Madhav Mehra, or Madhav Lal Mehra,
The father.
traces history right from 1990, where he claims he was a government official. So when did he join the RSS?
RSS.
From 1990, he's supposed to be abroad.
Hmm.
So when was he in the RSS? That is one. Secondly, this Malini Mehra herself, it is quoted in the Guardian. I did a show yesterday. I quoted that. I read it out. She herself says that this guy indulges in misrepresentation about her father, and he cannot be relied upon.
About her
And
father.
about her father, the same father who she is now calling an RSS man. So I'm saying, I mean, come on, just imagine the incompetence, the sheer incompetence. You can't even plant somebody
But
correctly.
correctly. Right.
I mean, even if it is a staged show, damn it, stage it properly.
Correct, correct.
I mean, imagine how gauche this whole thing is. How incompetent.
It's like I think last year, was it a few months during Gujarat elections? This auto wala, this fellow Aam Aadmi Party had this guy foisted in. Remember those episodes, Sanjay ji? He was asking him all these questions in Gujarat during the rallies. The same guy appears in different places. I think somebody on Twitter unveiled him and said that this guy is seen here, 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 everywhere, and clearly he was foisted there or put there or installed there in all these critical. So how like you said.
These people for hire are available everywhere.
Correct,
I can
correct.
give you a good tip. Actually, you go outside, say the Congress office, or in Jaipur. Okay, so the Congress office, various protests would be taking place. Sometimes some party might come, if somebody, some other organization might come. 70% of the people protesting in all these would be the same. They probably wear different
Yes,
dresses,
yes, yes.
carry different placards. Wear, in fact, they don't change dresses; they change topis.
Right. White.
So this is also now quite a professional exercise.
True, true.
Uh, same thing. If you go to, when BJP is in power, in front of BJP office, same thing happens.
Mm. Quite a joke, actually. Yeah. It's and it's. I mean, it's really sad because there's so much misinformation, so much obfuscation of facts, and people tend to get misled by all these things, right? I mean, it's so easy to be misled by what you watch.
Nobody gets misled by these antics these days.
Hmm,
Public is quite smart,
smart.
especially in this social media era. In fact,
Yes,
these
there's a lot.
professional guys,
Hmm.
they started thinking what to do now. They are trying to create social media accounts instead of going and doing public protest.
So, Sanjay ji, finally, to wrap up, just a quick word about the Northeast elections, which just concluded, and of course, BJP had around, had a wonderful, you know, result. My question is that these are states like Meghalaya and Meghalaya and Mizoram. These are predominantly Christian-dominated states. Of course, BJP was an ally, didn't win majority, but the point is that how is it that Congress, which is has always been seen as more of a like close to Christian, the Christian constituencies or the Christian voters, how is it that Congress had such a beating in these states?
First of all, not all of them are Christian dominated. Tripura is
Yeah, Tripura isn't.
hardly has any Christians. Tripura is very strongly Hindu majority. Even the tribes there, the Tipra Mota, the Dev Burman, the king, the Dev Burman,
R.D.
the
Burman
Manik
is from
dynasty.
Tripura. Yeah,
Yes, yes, yes. The Dev Burmans are from Tripura.
Tripura. Yeah.
They are very staunchly Hindu,
Yes.
very staunchly Hindu tribe, very staunch Hindu tribe. So Tripura, that question doesn't arise at all. And Tripura, I think Congress has been on the margin for, as I think, at least 35 years or so. It was relevant only before the left came. The left was there for about 25 years, and now 5 years, now another 5 years, this BJP is going to be there. So uh, Tripura, you can forget. Now let's go to
Meg-
Meghalaya and
Meg-
Nagaland.
Nagaland. Yes.
So Meghalaya and Nagaland, what has happened is that for the first time, you see, everything doesn't work, and this also shows that everything doesn't work according to religion. So these are basically tribes, okay? They are, if you go to Meghalaya, I have worked as an election observer in Meghalaya. So the primary identity there is the tribe. That's the primary identity. Even within Meghalaya, the Garo, Jaintia, and Khasi
Awesome.
identities,
Right.
they are very strong.
Mm.
And the church also tries to uh, get around this, and tries to benefit from this identity, because even today, these are matriarchal societies.
Mm.
These are purely matriarchal societies.
Yes.
My liaison officer,
Mm.
who happened to be from Himachal Pradesh, I was posted in Tura, which is there used to be, there was a time when there used to be one Garo Hill district.
Mm.
Now it is divided into several Garo Hill districts.
Oh.
So there is a West Garo Hill, there is an East Garo Hill, there is a South
Mm.
Garo Hill, number of them, I think 4 or 5 of Garo Hill districts.
Okay.
So my liaison officer, who happened to be from Himachal Pradesh, he married a local Garo lady, and his daughters carried the surname of the mother.
Mother. Wow.
Okay, and within the communities, like Sangma. Now, Sangma is not one surname. Sangma is divided into three. One is A Sangma, the other is K Sangma, and the third is some other Sangma. Now, if you remember Purno Sangma, daughter is Agatha Sangma. Now, Purno Sangma is a K Sangma.
Oh, these are divisions within the.
Within then he is married to a lady from the A Sangma. So Agatha, his daughter, or Conrad,
Hmm,
his son, they are both A Sangmas. They are not K
they're
Sangmas.
not K. Acha.
So, in that sense, this is totally anti-Christian,
Hmm.
completely anti-Christian. Because in the Christian, especially the Protestants, I think the Presbyterian Church is the main church over there, and I think Nagaland probably the Baptists dominate. Uh, so the tribal identity is the greater identity. And what has happened is that I think, this is my analysis, of course, again subject to rebuttal, is that for the first time they have felt that the mainstream India cares for them, and for that you have to 100% give credit to the Prime Minister, who has visited the Northeast about 100 times. And even now, you can see the attitude that when they lost these elections so badly, and the question was asked to Kharge, and he said, "Oh well, these are small states, so it does not matter."
Oh, he said that.
He said that. He said that. So now that sums it up. When you're asking me this question, this answer from Kharge, this sums it up.
Is it up?
They don't care. They never cared. Of course, they care for the seats, but then the Northeast plus Sikkim. Actually, Sikkim, I do not consider Sikkim Northeast basically, because between Sikkim and Assam, there is a stretch of about 100 kilometers of Bengal,
Hmm.
North Bengal.
Yes, yes, Bengal. Yes, correct.
So these seven states, the seven sisters as they are called, and Sikkim, they carry 25 seats. Now, I put it in perspective. 25 seats means that's equal to Rajasthan,
Hmm.
that's equal to Andhra Pradesh, that's almost equal to Gujarat. Gujarat is 26, very nearly equal to Karnataka, which is 28, and except except some large states like Tamil Nadu,
UP or
UP, Bihar, and MP.
MP. Yeah.
Come to think of, MP is also 29 now, only 29.
Mm-hmm.
So that's not very different.
Correct, correct, correct.
So basically, UP, Bihar, which is 40, and West Bengal, which is 42, and Tamil Nadu, which is 39, and Maharashtra, which is 48. If you leave aside these five states, it's as big as any other
Any other state?
state
Correct.
in the country.
Mm.
And yet this guy says, "Oh, they are very small. It doesn't matter." I wouldn't be surprised if they end up with zero. Last time they got, I think, one or two seats in Assam.
Mm-hmm.
But they could very well end up with zero.
Zero.
And this is the reason that you see in Nagaland, you have a government which is supported by everybody. It's an NDA government.
Mm-hmm.
They had a pre-poll alliance with BJP,
Yeah.
but afterwards, even the NCP has supported the FU.
Okay.
Poor Sharad Pawar is trying to save his face by saying that we haven't supported BJP, we have supported
The
NDPP.
yeah.
So, see, these three are the major Christian states over there:
Mm.
Meghalaya, Nagaland,
Nagaland,
and Mizoram.
Mizoram.
Mizoram. Because Manipur has
Hindu population.
you said a large Hindu and very influential. The Meiteis are very
Yes.
very strong. The Meiteis as well as
Even see there are scenes.
The animists, the Meiteis and animists together, they make up about 70%
Okay.
of Manipur. So that's again is not strictly speaking a Christian state, nor is Arunachal. So these three are the major Christian states. And because of its indifference towards them, their indifference towards their identity, Congress has lost out. And because Modi is trying to mainstream them, he is investing in infrastructure in those areas, just making them feel that they actually
Yes, part of
are
the country.
not orphans
Yes.
within the Indian system. There is a connect. So the people uh, don't hate Modi in these
Mm.
states anymore.
Mm. Unlike
That
what
is
they,
that is reserved. That is still reserved only for Tamil Nadu.
yeah, no, no, they hate him in the Christians in Telangana, the Christians in Andhra. They all despise him, Sanjay ji. They don't like him.
Yes, but they're not Christian majority states anyway.
Huh. But Andhra, well, it's well on its way to becoming one. I feel, considering the way things are going with this guy. With
No, that is highly exaggerated, of course.
is
And
it?
that is, I blame BJP also, because instead of doing the hard rounds, they try and scare people into thinking that there's something happening so that they would react. That's not the right way, because otherwise they keep supporting YSR, uh,
They support
YSR
him, yes,
Congress.
but on the other hand, there's routinely stories coming out about conversions and all kinds of anti-Hindu activities. So anyway, it's a little worrying for us because we're like emotionally connected to Andhra. My a lot of, I mean, my family is from Andhra and all of that. So it's a little worrying because also because when you go to these parts, you see it. It's very visible, Sanjay ji. Traveling to Andhra, Vijayawada, recently I was in Rajmundry. It's very visible. So it's a little worrying.
Yes, they make it a point to make it
Yes,
more visible
yes.
than what it actually is. They're very good in narrative building,
Narrative building. True.
which BJP, as I said earlier in the context of Punjab, is quite bad at.
Mm, very true. Sanjay ji, thank you so much. I won't keep you. I know you keep a very tight schedule and you probably have a show starting sometime soon, maybe after lunch. So I thank you so much once again for being on our show. And we will have you again very soon whenever time permits because I have a feeling that things are just going to get very, very, very interesting from, now on
Yes,
until the
with
election.
the elections coming, they are bound to get
So we'll
interesting.
have a lot to talk about and analyze. So thank you so much, Sanjay ji, for being
Thank you,
with us.
Pujitaji.
Thank
Thank
you.
you very much.
And please, subscribers, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe to our channel and share, like, comment, and keep coming back. Thank you so much and namaste.
Please remember to subscribe to us and switch on the notifications for this channel. For our other social media links, more content, and to support our work, please visit citti.net. Dhanyavad. Namaskar.